Vice President Kamala Harris says she's ready to serve as president. Joe Biden faces more pressure on the age issue. When asked if voters concerned about President Biden's age means she must convince them she is ready to serve, she responded without hesitation, "I am ready to serve. There's no question about that." She said that everyone who sees her in her role walks away fully aware of my capacity to lead. In response to Special Counsel Robert Hur's report on President Biden, Harris wrote on X yesterday, "The comments made in the Hur report were gratuitous, inaccurate, and inappropriate. It was clearly politically motivated." She also had this to say.
As a former prosecutor, the comments that were made by that prosecutor, gratuitous, inaccurate, and inappropriate. The way that the president's demeanor in that report was characterized could not be more wrong on the facts and clearly politically motivated, gratuitous. And so I will say that when it comes to the role and responsibility of a prosecutor in a situation like that, we should expect that there would be a higher level of integrity than what we saw.
Now here's White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre on Biden's age and mental fitness yesterday.
A new ABC News Ipsos poll shows that 86% of Americans think Biden is too old to serve another term. That is a higher percentage than what we found in a previous poll in September. So clearly polling shows this is a persistent issue. What is the White House strategy to try and change that perception?
So look, we're going to continue to lead on leadership, right? We're going to continue to focus on what this president has been able to get done, what the president has been able to get done on behalf of the American people. And look, I'll quote a little bit of what the First Lady said, I think incredibly well, just a couple days ago. President Biden does more in 1 hour than most people do in a day. His age with experience and expertise is an incredible asset, and he proves it every day.
When can we talk to the president's doctor, and how come they haven't been asked to come out here and talk with us, given the Hur report that challenges the president's mental fitness?
So look, just to speak to the Hur report really quickly, Special Counsel Hur is, as far as I remember, is obviously a Republican, a prosecutor. He's not a medical doctor. He's just not.
The president weighed in on the lives lost in Israel and Palestine as well.
Every innocent life in Gaza is a tragedy, just as every innocent life lost in Israel is a tragedy as well.
Now, that last journalist, I think, raised a good point that I hadn't heard of. The one that said, well, why aren't we hearing from his doctors that could assure us? Because I remember a day, to make this all about Bernie grievance season, but I remember a day after Bernie's heart attack in the October of 2019 that he was torn apart from the media because they said he'd waited 3 days to disclose his heart attack. He waited 3 days.
The news cycle, I remember, I'll validate you as an objective third party. The news cycle, when that happened, was he's done, he's over. He could, how dare he even think that he should serve in political office at this point, let alone run for higher office. Yeah, I remember. That was, the media treated that like it was a very serious issue. And then, of course, we all remember the Trump physician stuff, right? The not having
man that ever lived. Yes. And we allow all of this. So the idea that not only has his health, mental health, whatever you want to describe it as, been so faltering for so long that it made its way, politically motivated or not, we don't need this report to understand what our eyes have been telling us for years now. And for there to be only that, like, almost apologetically asked question, are we going to hear from any doctors about this who can confirm or deny anything about what's going on with his cognitive fitness? It's remarkable, the greased runway that Joe Biden has gotten compared to other presidential candidates in his position.
As he appears to be suffering a kind of, at least verbal collapse in real time. Things getting worse, much worse in just recent days. Just in the last 2 weeks, I feel like we've heard him flub more lines, and including that total embarrassing humiliating, difficult to watch, to the extent reporters helped him finish it, train of thought about a potential ceasefire with Hamas, where he totally forgot what he was talking about.
Yes, and in the makeup interview where he was supposed to be assuaging people's concerns about the Hur report, mixing up Mexico and, who was it, Mexico and Egypt, right? Egypt. You know, so look, this is perhaps why, and again, I think I read yesterday the instance, how many interviews each president has done in recent history, Obama, Trump, and Biden is like orders of magnitude less. He's like in the 80s, and Trump I think was in the 300s, and Obama was in the 400s interviews by this point in their presidency. Perhaps that is why we're getting treated to this kind of coverage of Joe Biden. This is an ad of sorts that he recently, I think just yesterday, posted to his Twitter as, I suppose, some kind of example of why it is that he is going to be a good leader going forward. Let's take a look and see what you guys think.
Well, I mean, you got chicken fingers, you got the whole deal. I went the route of making sure I had a hamburger. So tell me about you guys. What you doing these days?
Why don't you share about your passion of sports?
I'm playing AAU basketball right now.
Are you really? Are you guard?
Yes, sir.
Now, what grade are you in?
7th grade.
7th grade.
Right now I'm just doing basketball.
Scintillating stuff. It goes on like that for a little over a minute. The dad trying to prompt the conversation because clearly it's not gelling. The rustling of the plastic bags and the fast foods. They talk about athletics. Like, what message is supposed to be being sent here? That he's vital? Does this look like a vigorous man eating fast food out of plastic bags at some poor young family's house?
Yeah, that was real rough. I mean, it looked tailored to send a message to black people.
What message exactly? Because
he eats?
Oof. He eats. I mean, he was supposed to be the guy.
Yeah,
Again, Democrats made fun of Donald Trump for all of those years for that epic photo with all of the McDonald's stretched out on the banquet table. At least he looked vigorous.
Trump looks vigorous, and he's a performer, and this is why he's going to be president again, according to the polling.
Okay, so let's get back to the Kamala of it all.
Yes, I was going to say the Kamala of it all. Well, we're going to lead on leadership, and we're going to lead with Kamala. What is she? Is she going to persuade anyone that she is ready to serve if the moment comes? I mean, she's offering a full-throated defense of Biden and his cognitive abilities, lashing out at her, reading what looked like a prepared statement. When she could stay on track with prepared statements, she does fine.
Right. So immediately after, I think, the Hur debacle, she gave some remarks where she defended Joe Biden. Maybe it was before the Hur stuff. I don't remember. But she was defending his cognitive fitness and said, "Well, I was there. I was there immediately after October 7th, and I saw him responding in real time, and he was amazing." And in Jon Stewart's take of this last night, he plays that clip and then goes, "Did anybody film that?" Because that would have been helpful to see. So yes, she's defending him. That's her role right now. I understand that. And polls have historically suggested that she does better than Biden up against.
They didn't all along. There was a long while where Biden polled much better than her, but that reversed itself a couple months ago.
Exactly.
And now
You're right.
Yeah.
You're right. And I don't have a lot of confidence that if she were actually in the top seat, that her favorabilities wouldn't plummet again, and that the exposure would not do well for how she's publicly perceived. But at least she's not vulnerable to this age argument. There is that. And so I don't really blame the administration for wanting to push her out in front, but they should be asking themselves some pretty hard questions about whether or not they should have picked a better VP, because this eventuality was really likely and always on the horizon.
Yeah, it goes back to that fundamental question. I understand the bad optics of trying to replace her once you've already picked her, and she would not go quietly into that good night in any sense, I don't think. I think she absolutely wants to be president. She wants the VP perch as an ability to be president in the future. But, this is not someone who, as you've pointed out, had a particular constituency or ideological record. She was literally picked, I think we can all concede, for some very obvious diversity reasons without looking too deeply at whether she has a resume that spoke to winning any coalition over. Yeah,
well, the problem was that there were other black candidates that he could have picked and didn't. There were a lot of appointments that he made. Who was it? HUD secretary was very frustrated. She said, I want anything but HUD, and he gave her HUD. And ironically, him doing bad hiring decisions for Black people, and specifically, hasn't gotten the blowback from the Black community that he should have. Everyone seems to be grateful that he put anybody at all on these posts. And so now we're going to have to live with this reality. Now, I don't know that it would be a much better situation if Amy Klobuchar was vice president of the United States of America right now. I don't know. I mean,
might be. Might be. I mean, a couple points is all that could decide if whatever. I mean, I don't know, Amy Klobuchar or Cory Booker or something would help make.
I could see Cory Booker.
If that would make Biden 1% more popular.
I could see Cory Booker, but the
eventually.
problem is whoever it is would have spent the last 4 months defending Joe Biden as their, like, every diverse constituency in America especially hates what he's doing in Israel. So it would just tarnish anybody's reputation. It would tarnish Cory Booker's reputation. It would tarnish anybody who had to stand next to Biden through especially this last few months. So I don't know, he's dug himself into this hole. I don't know that even swapping him out at this point is going to get him out of it. But of course, we'll continue to follow what's going on in this primary season. Stick around, more Rising coming up next.